first of all, congratulations on your last win. I mean, I was listening to an interview that you did recently with, is it Sirius X, Sirius FM or so, but it's a particular podcast from Ireland.
Severe.
That's it, Severe. Sorry, Severe. And one of the things that's, well, it was really interesting and quite humbling to hear your background, where you came from. And that you, one of the things I picked out from the interview is that you kind of, even at a young age, a young impressionable age, where you've got plenty of peer pressure around you, you refuse to go down the route of basically getting in trouble, troublemaking, drugs and crime. I mean, for yourself, just I ask everyone whether they're competing professionally or not, just what got you into combat sports as a whole to begin with?
So what got me into it was I kind of always had an interest in combat sports growing up. Not, I suppose, just combat itself, as in so we said, as you know, we all brothers and sisters growing up, but you know, the old sibling, you know, two brothers fighting, and you know, just kind of well, we were mad at the WWE and stuff and the WWF, and you know, we used to think that was real, you know, the way when you were kids, like, you know, and so we kind of always had an interest in that. And then when you're growing up, then, you know, you always suppose when you, as we all do, get into your little scraps and stuff. And I suppose maybe me and my brother thought about them more after they happened, then we had an interest, you know, not in, obviously, but we weren't violent or anything, you know, but we just, you know, always having to go with each other, and so we always had an interest there growing up, and we dabbed in a bit of boxing, when we were growing up, and then just started mixed martial arts. And one of my friends in school, he was doing it, and yeah, he was like, oh, you should come along, I think you'd be good at. And he was like, you should come along. And I was like, sure, I'll try it out, you know, because it was, as I said, I always had an interest in, you know, buying DVDs of boxing and things like that, you know. And he just said, come along. So I tried it out. And yeah, first class, just went in with my friends, and they were telling me they were training every night of the week, and they were trained as months. And I went in with them, and you know, at the end of the class, you do a rolling session, and I got them in an old headlock and was tapping them out, and I thought, like, oh, geez, the boys are training flat out. It must be all right if I've been catching these boys, you know. But little did I know them, when I kept going, that they were only bluffing me, you know what I mean? They were only calling me bluff. They weren't even training that much. But yeah, so I just kept going, and then I suppose just started to you know, love it. Then, you know, when I was growing up, right, and all that, I could never concentrate, you know, especially with things I didn't have an interest in, you know, my mind to go wandering. And next minute I'm finding this that I had such an interest in, and it just, you know, intrigued me, you know. And yeah, that was it then, really, you know, just kept going.
I mean, even when looking at the sport itself, I mean, when you started training, I mean, you actually had in mind, even as a youngster, a young teenager, you did have in mind that at some point you do want to take this, the training to, you got a long amateur career and beneath your belt. You, at the time when you were starting out, you did have it back of your mind that you do want to take this somewhere, and you do want to be competing professionally on a much more wider international stage, such as Bellator, where you're at now. So far, you've got a really good record there. I mean, even then, you did want to pursue this as a long-term career.
Yeah, of course. When I started, you know, that wasn't because I started when I was 15, and, like, you know, that wasn't obviously the goal. I was still in school at the time, and I didn't, you know, most 15-year-olds don't know what they wanted to do. And I played sports all my life, Gaelic football, as I said, dabbed in a bit of boxing, and, you know, you know, it was starting a new thing. But as I said, I always had that interest in defending myself. And when I got into the, you know, the fights growing up, I was probably the one that thought about them more. You know, I was thinking about what I should have done and this and that, whereas most people probably just thought it was just, you know, just a part of life, you know, whereas I would have been thinking about it more, what should I have done, or, you know. So just always, it was always in my mind, and that just, you know, that intrigued me more, you know what I mean? It was that always is like, I think part of me like was always like, right, somebody is going to come and take something you want one day, or not even that, but you know, like as we all grow up as teenagers, you know, that you have that kind of chip in your shoulder, and I always had that, like, right, if someone coming to take something off me, or to, you know, not that anybody was, but if that makes sense, you know, it was just like knowing that, right, I can, you know, defend myself, or at least put up a good fight. That was in my head, you know, and that always was like the number one thing, like, you know, I always had my wits about me and growing up, and so that was kind of the number one thing that got me into it. And then I kept going, and some of the lads, my friends, were competing and stuff, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna have a fight, like, and sure, I might as well. I'm training enough, like, you know, and had a fight then, and then so that was it. Then I was like, oh, this is some buzz. Like, even after that, actually, after my first fight, I was knocked out in 26 seconds. I was picked up, body locked, slammed in my head, and knocked like right in my head and my neck. And when I came back to myself in the dressing room after, the number one thing I thought, can't wait to do this again. Whereas most people probably were like, oh, geez, this isn't for me. I was mad to get back in, and a few months later, I ended up winning my second fight in amateur. But just all these things, thinking back, like, you know, I always had that kind of drive in me to, you know, I suppose I would have been very stubborn in that as well, you know. And then, as you said, talk about your question there, talking about a career of it, I mean, it just, the more I kept doing it, the more it kept me in the straight and narrow growing up, and it was like, you know what, I'm loving this. As I said, I could never concentrate on anything, and here I am, you know, in the sessions, you know, loving it. I'm just wanting to learn about it, getting on the internet, looking up as much as I can, watching this fight, that fight, and as well looking up to like the likes of my coach that was professional at the time, and not looking up to the, you know, the lads in the estate, or, you know, it was, they were the role, that was my role model, looking up to my coach instead of being out in the street. And so yeah, I can't talk about it enough, how much it done for me, and just fell in love with it basically, you know, and said I wanted to have a crack at it, like, you know.
No, that's good. Clearly, this is something that you knew you wanted to do from the get-go, and you're extremely passionate about it. Family, mother and father, especially your mother, they didn't have worries of you having injuries, because you said that even after being knocked out, so within 26 seconds of a particular fight, okay, you went away, you healed and licked your wounds, but you want to get back into the game.
Yeah, like, I mean, it was I was body locked, slammed in my head and my neck, and I swear to God, after, it just goes to show that was like, I'd be 10 years next year, like, and I was only 16, and it was in my hometown, Drogheda, and I had all my friends and family, and, you know, yourself, 16, it was, you know, you were still in school, and it was a big thing, like, for me at the time, and yeah, like, I mean, you know, it went the way it went, and the first thing I thought after was like, I can't wait for the next one, like, you know, that just goes to show, like, I would have turned a lot of people off, and I just was, as soon as I healed up and the whole lot, and straight back into the gym, and yeah, it didn't turn me off. It was just the whole buzz of it, like, you know, the whole everything, the training leading up to it, the dedication you put in, the training, the you know, you learn about a lot about yourself training for fights, and especially that young, you know, and yeah, exactly, just that was it. Then I suppose, thinking back, that was probably when I said, like, yeah, that I didn't make the decision obviously there and then, like, that I wanted to pursue this, but it was like, yeah, this, you know, this is some buzz. I want to do that again, like, you know.
There was no pushback or opposition from the family, especially your close family, saying, look, Ciaran, you're going to get hurt, serious head injuries. There was no concerns about that at all?
No, like, that was never once mentioned to me. Maybe that was the thoughts, but it was never like, no, because I tell you why, because it was something positive, you know. It was like, here, they see me, you know, because before I started, you know, I was in school. I was expelled from school. I was, you know, I don't know. I didn't know who I was when I was young. You know, it was just, you know, I suppose, I was just no direction, and I was just, you know, to put it plainly, yeah, no direction. You know, it was just in school, couldn't concentrate, wasn't good at it. As I said, I didn't like it. You know, I didn't like any of the subjects. Nothing interested me. Nothing like that. So as you know, when you've no concentration or no focus, that's when I started getting in trouble. It was more kind of having a laugh, and then obviously then you know, you're getting doing more and more bad things, and it's just a change of it then, you know. And anyway, then they see me doing this sport, waking up in the morning, going for runs before school, and they're like, what's going on here? I'm trying to pull him out of the bed to go to school, and here he is up at whatever time in the morning going for runs. And you know, so I mean, when they seen that change, I mean, they were like, this is for him, you know. It's keeping me in the right road. As I said, you know, you have commitment, you've dedication, you've concentration, you've confidence. Even I remember even one of my teachers at the time was saying to me, you're actually walking like a fighter now, you know. That was a big thing for me. It was like, you know, they seen what I was doing for me, you know. I was my own man, whereas I should have said I was becoming a man. I was becoming my own person, whereas when I was you know, I didn't know what I wanted. I was, you know, just acting the bollocks, really, you know what I mean? I was just you know, no direction. And here I am doing this, and they're like, do you know what? I prefer I'm doing this than, you know, as I said, out getting suspended from school and, you know, doing the wrong things, you know. So that's I suppose the reason why they didn't, you know.
David, Ciaran, if you could you turn your device sideways? I mean, because then you might look a bit. That's it.
There we go.
Look a bit better.
Okay, do you want me to ask? Yeah, I want to touch on. Obviously, you were touching on. Obviously, I'm from Ireland. You're from Ireland. I'm from Kildare. You're from Drogheda. We're all in the same country. I understand what you're saying when you're young, and at that age, there's not that many facilities really for young people to do stuff. So, and I understand. I was a little fucker in school myself, and it's only here. Look, I'm 35 now. I'm only after finding my direction. What would you say to people when they're young? Would you encourage them to take up martial arts? Because what I found is there's a humbleness and there's a structure and everything within that realm that can actually focus you. Is that what happened to you? Did you find you got better in school since then?
Yeah, big time. Well, what happened was, as I said, like, school was never for me. The whole, and not even just the system and all that. And look, I'm not the one to be here to say, you know, school's bad and this and that. It's obviously we all have to do it, and it's a proven part for most people, you know. But for me, it just wasn't for me, you know. I just the concentration. I couldn't concentrate on something that I didn't like, you know. When I found martial arts, it was something that I enjoyed, and I felt I was getting the benefit of. And the benefits for me was my confidence, you know, my dedication, my commitment to things, you know. Even the people I was looking up to was a big thing, you know. My coaches at the time, and it's the right people to be looking up to, seeing what they were doing and leading by example, you know. And you know, I think that's a massive thing. I mean, you can say, you know, don't do this, don't do that, but if you're not like living by example, it's very, very hard to you know yourself. Like, your parents tell you this and not to do that, but not that mine weren't, but if they were doing those things themselves, you know, how can you take the advice? So for me, it was a big thing. And again, finding who I was, you know, you learn a lot about yourself, you know, how much you can push and train, and you know, and again, it's only you in there, you know. You can't lie in the mats. As I was saying, you know, my mates were lying to me at the time, telling me they were training this and that, and you know, I go in there with it's stubborn mindset, my head locking. But anyway, it's as I said, yeah, it's I can't speak highly enough of it, you know, for what it done for me. And regardless if you want to pursue it as a career, or I know for a fact, like, when I have kids, when the time comes, like, they'll be definitely doing it, and not to compete or anything, you know. It's not for everybody, that, but just what I learned, you know, the hierarchy of respect you have for your coaches, the higher belts, and you know, it's I mean, you know, I don't have to talk about all that, you know, and the respect. And again, to be humble, as you mentioned, you know, I mean, you're humble every day. I was on the mat, I was in the tree arena, you know, to get me before professional win. I'm there in the gym a week later and I'm getting tapped out. I mean, it's it keeps you grounded, and I think it's because it's an individual sport, you can't rely on 11 other players or 10 other players. Sorry, and again, we could probably spend the 40 minutes just said talking about that, but what it's done for me, that's it's priceless.
In regards to your amateur career, I've actually looked at your record, and you've had quite an extended amateur career. I've actually noticed, because I'm going to cover Cage Legacy next week. You competed at the first Cage Legacy. How important are these promotions in Ireland for Irish MMA to push forward and go? Because it seems in a really good place at the minute. How did it feel to perform at the first Cage Legacy and all the other amateurs that you didn't? And how do you think it's benefited you going forward into your pro?
I mean, Cage Legacy is ruling the roost at the minute, aren't they? They're the leading one, and I'm proud to say I was actually the first Cage Legacy champion amateur. So I'm very glad I competed there, and Declan and the likes that run the show, and they're great guys, and they're in it for the sport, because I know fine well a lot of these lads, they're not getting a turnover, and they're not doing it for that, I mean, it's with COVID going on, these lads are, they're pulling out all the stops for their own lads, their own guys in the gym, and everybody else in the country. And I think people have to realize that as well. It's a big axe they're doing, and they're doing it. Whereas maybe when I started, there was shows every weekend, and maybe that's why I was able to get that many fights, obviously due to the IMAFs as well. But just for experience, I mean, look at my record, it's 13-11. You might think, it wasn't a 9-0, 10-0 record. But if you actually really look into the record, and when I was fighting, who I was fighting, all these guys that was losing to or beaten as well, they're all ranked #1 in the world. Or I was losing to these guys. I was losing to silver medalists, the world championships, bronze medalists, world championships. I fought the Russian, I fought the Brazilian, I fought the I fought the brawler, the submission guy. So going into professional ranks, then I have all that experience, and there's a moment you get when you're at amateur. That's what I felt anyway. You kind of get that. You get that kind of comfort in the cage, and in such chaos, which it is, you're in a cage fighting someone, and you kind of get that comfort in the cage. You start, things start clicking. You start finding your style as well. I found my style maybe halfway through because of amateur. I found who I was, found who I was good at. I even talked about it today. Like, I'll never watch an Adesanya or a John Jones. I'm never gonna fight like them. I can appreciate watching them, but like, I can watch, Khabib or the Russian wrestler now and say, yeah, I think I can take from that, So things like that, you just learn so much at amateur. It's massive that the likes of Cage Legacy is still going through these tough times. It's huge for the development of young fighters coming through, and to be able to compete with the Russians, as I said, and the Americans going to the AMF. So it's massive.
Touching on the IMAFs, can you just take us through your experience? Because I've talked to the likes of Taylor Quinn and all you've probably seen coming up through the amateurs now, he's going again. Like, he told me that experience, money can't buy that experience because you're going up different styles. Just give me your experience of the IMAFs.
Yeah, look at Taylor. Like, I was actually talking about one of the shows, and he was telling me, like, all going well. I think he was going to have 7 fights that year, it was something similar to that. And I remember one of my years at amateur, I had 7 fights as well. And I mean, that's you'd never get that in the Irish scene on the circuit, or UK or Ireland at the minute, because just the way the shows are going, it's very, very hard. And to get them on the bounce like that in a week, you can get years experience in a week if you were to go all the way 5 fights to get a gold or a silver, And for me, that was my goal for a long time. My goal was wasn't even to get about getting the fights as well as was on the back end of the experience. But for me, it was the goal was to get the gold medal at a major IMAF tournament, whether it be the World Championships or the European Championships, with the gold medal, or at least medal these with the tricolour up there and hear the national anthem. I remember the first time I went to Bahrain and walking out, you really got that feeling. You were like, it was the Olympics, it was international, it was, you were really you're really representing your country. And I mean, to be honest, I've said this before in interviews. I think if that was a route you could take, the likes of like Katie Taylor and Paddy Barnes and Michael Conlon had all done, if that was a route you could actually take at MMA and amateur, you know, and that you could actually, like, I suppose, make a living off sponsors or to be funded, I definitely would have stayed amateur. You know, I really, really enjoyed it. You know, I don't know, just the whole, you know, staying away, meeting new people. You know, that's on the back end of it, but for the whole fighting experience, I mean, fighting 5 days in a row, and it's just it's brilliant. Not knowing the guy you're fighting the next day, you're all sore, you're black eyes stitched up, and you're like, I don't know, it's just it's a great feeling. I have to say, I really, really enjoyed that, and I'd advise any amateur that's coming up to do them, because it's as I said, it's you're fighting the best in the world, you know, and the experience you get is, as you said, what Taylor said, it's priceless. You know, can't buy it.
Any other questions, David?
I do, but you can go ahead with your questions as well.
This one almost seems to be like, I want to say it's random, or but it's kind of like a sole question that I think many people might say is quite stupid. But you're
Walk away shot.
Sorry?
The walk away shot. I'm all for it.
No, you're in Bellator now, and since you've started fighting in that promotion, you've done really well. And you're at what, 26 now?
Yep.
Do you see yourself staying with Bellator, or would you like to go to another promotion? Would you still like to move to another promotion?
To be honest, I've another year or two with Bellator. I think not under 2 years with Bellator now, because I actually only really started my contract because of the last fight with Bellator. So I've another, like, you know, year or two there. So that's another thing I learned from amateur. I don't like to look too far ahead, because I feel what's actually in front of you, which is the next man that I have to be, you're looking past that. And, you know, I learned that, as I said, at amateur, because you're fighting this day, then the next day, you know, you have to beat the person in front of you. And I'm taking that all away with me, because it's worked for me so far. And as I said, yeah, I'm not thinking too far ahead. If I see my contract out and, you know, things are good, and I get to a stage where I'm at a good position, I mean, I'd be happy to stay there. Or again, I don't know. It's as I just have to beat. All I know is whenever they want me to fight next, I have to beat the man in front of me, and that's the next thing I have to focus on short term, you know. And that's all I really can do. But all going well, I mean, why I'd like to stay there, or if things didn't go well, you know, or if another offer popped up, I mean, you know, I go elsewhere. But I mean, I'm very happy at the minute, and we have a good relationship. Our gym and you know, Europe, Bellator Europe, and, you know, hopefully one day, hopefully maybe next year, I'd like to fight abroad, fight in America. That'd be a goal, probably short term of mine for next year. So yeah, I'm just kind of focusing what's ahead of me at the minute, and but yeah, we'll see what happens when the time comes, you know.
I'll say it was a stupid question, because I would have asked you almost like the most obvious question. You're fighting Bellator, you've done really well. Do you see yourself in future moving to the UFC? Would you ever see that? Would you ever decide to do that at all?
As I said, we're talking 2 years time. We're talking if realistically, if I was in a good position where, please God, I won all my fights, I think that's when I could really, you know, when the renegotiation comes, I could think of a UFC, or, you know, obviously then you're whatever now with the promotion, or, you know, you have a good record of promotion. So, I mean, I'm sure they'd be happy to keep me. So, as I said, when the time will come, I don't know until then. So it's a hard question to ask, especially now when I don't know. But I mean, all going well, I'd be happy to stay. Or if not, they didn't want it, I'd be happy to go elsewhere. So it's probably not what you want to hear, but that's all I can say at the minute.
Not at all, because I think from over the guests that David and I have interviewed, I think I can say, speaking for myself, that even those fighters themselves, they don't regard the UFC as the let's say the
Holy Grail.
thank you. Yes, thank you, Dave. The holy grail of mixed martial arts, because finally may get the fame and the exposure to become a household name in mixed martial arts, especially in the United States. But in terms of salary, there's gonna have to be something about you before you can really compel someone such as Dana White to pay you your worth. So I do understand that. Yeah, despite the name power the UFC has in combat sports, you know, there's still this massive controversial topic of fighters' salary and the fighters in that organization not receiving or earning their worth in the sport.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm very happy at the minute with Bellator, and they're very good to us all, and yeah, I mean, I'm happy, as I said, because just what you were touching on there with the American, I think the UFC know they have America, you know, and they have that locked down. You know, we've seen in the past, especially as recent, the path some of them of the European fighters have gotten. I think we always get a harder path. I think it's right as well, you know, because we have to prove ourselves or whatever. But you know, you see with Bellator as well, we all compete against each other here in Europe. And as I said, I think, you know, that's up to the fighter. I think, you know, we all know that wherever we go, whether it be Bellator, you know, we all know that, and it's up to us in there to do the job. And I suppose, yeah, it's only right as well, you know.
Fantastic.
Go on.
I just want to touch on you spoken about Bellator, and what I like about Bellator is obviously UFC has the brand name, the market, and whatever. For me, what Bellator has done for Ireland is you can't even compare to the UFC. The UFC obviously have the roster of like 700 fighters. When Bellator comes over here, they give, you see, obviously the last card, how many fighters are on it. Obviously, Dara Kelly, and unfortunately Charlie Ward missed out due to Charlie had an injury, and Dara's opponent pulls out. But what they actually do for like the amateurs turning pros in this country, you can't pay money for as well, because everywhere they go, they stack the card with the Irish fighters or the UK fighters or the Swedish, wherever they go. And I think that's what I like about Bellator, is it separates them. They bring they want the Irish fans to be there, so they bring in the fans. And how do you feel they've done with that in Ireland? Because I think they've done very well in bringing in the Irish fans.
Yeah, I think it's smart, you know. I think they've did a great job, and I think like the UFC will go anywhere, they'll sell out. But what I think what makes it unique with Bellator, as you said, they bring on the local up and coming talent. They bring on it's more the fans say, or the people that's going, they want to go and see the people that's fighting. Whereas I think when, you know, if it's the UFC or anything, you know, I think people are just going because it's the name, and don't get me wrong, they're going for the fights, but I think with Bellator did a good job, whether it be UK or wherever they went here in Ireland, especially in Ireland. Obviously, you know, it's the best place they hold it. But I mean, yeah, they bring on the local up and coming talent, and you know, the best around. And as you know, I think we be confident saying UK and Ireland are at the top of the scene in Europe at the minute, leading the way. But I think they're doing a good job, and it's smart. You know, I think it's very smart, and it's working well, and I'm happy to be a part of it. To be honest, it's all going well, and please God, everything that's going on, we could get another one going next year with the first half of next year. I'd be delighted to be on it. You know.
Any more questions, David? I have my own, but
no, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay. This is something that kind of plays in my mind. Although for yourself, it might not be so, because you don't seem to be from that sort of background. You don't seem to be that sort of person. Do you see yourself as maybe, David, I mentioned this to you earlier, you might have forgotten. Do you see yourself as maybe the next Conor McGregor?
No. I tell you why, because there's only going to be ever one Conor McGregor. Always, you know, you know that, I know that. It's there's only ever going to be one, you know, and that's just the way it is, you know, and everything he's brought to it, you know, it's unique to him, because I mean, look what he's done. I don't have to name it, you know. I mean, you talk about fighters' pay. I think since he's come in, even actually, you know, fighters' pay has went up, and he's changed it. You know, I mean, he's shown like, no, I'm the show here, you know, and we're the entertainers here. We're the ones putting our body in the line. You know, he's yourself, and we've seen as of recent that the injuries you can get this in this sport. And I mean, he's changed the game. He's changed the game, you know. So there'll only ever be one Conor McGregor, you know. And as well, do I think I could be like that? No, I don't, because I think what's you know, I have a great following here in the town I'm from, you know, Drogheda, and it's unbelievable. The whole town's getting behind me, and obviously the country as well. And but I mean, I think that's what's unique to us all. You know, there'll only ever be one Ciaran Clarke as well. You know, I think we're all individuals, if that makes sense. You know, so and I think it doesn't matter who, you know, people want to get behind you to see you do well. And you know, that's who Conor started. You know, and then obviously he just, you know, blew up as a superstar, and you know the character he is. But he was always like that. You know, and I'm not that type of fighter. And I think people need to give that up as well. You know, like the way they carry themselves, and you know the way they do things, the way he does, and you know they're calling people out and all that. And like, I get it, you know what I mean, it's a sport and it's entertainment, but there's only one way, you know, he has done it, and it's his way, you know. So to answer your question, no.
Yeah, I like your answer. That's a good answer. Okay, David, take it away.
Yeah, so obviously, yeah, like you said, there can only be one Conor. There's only going to be one type of person. Like you said, be individual, be yourself. That's the best way to sell yourself, is be authentic, I think. What I want to touch on is obviously from your amateur career and then stepping in for your Bellator debut. How did it feel stepping in for your pro debut on such a big stage such as Bellator?
Yeah, it was a big deal for me. You know, obviously Bellator, and you know, we had all the established lads fighting on the cards and that were signed, you know, before me, and it was great to get on it. And yeah, I mean, to go 1-0 and to fight against a fighter at the time that was already 1-0 with the promotion. He wasn't signed or anything, but you know, he'd fought there at the big stage. And I remember watching the likes of Richie Smullen and you know, Blaine O'Driscoll and all the guys in the gym fighting in Bam in the Tree Arena, and you know, I was obviously in the stands at the time watching. I'd be you know, watching the lads in the gym do it, and I'd be like, geez, that'd be a goal of mine now to you know, one day when I go professional to start to fight there, you know. And yeah, it came through, you know. It's unbelievable. And yeah, it's actually it's hard to describe the Tree Arena, the buzz of it, you know. I like fighting abroad as well. It's like the national pressure and the whole lot, but I mean, you couldn't write how things have went in that Tree Arena. I mean, whether it be good or bad for people, it's iconic, isn't it?
Peter Queally said his last fight was his worst night and his best night also on the same night. His worst night, obviously, because of the loss to Pitbull to Patrick. But the best night for fans, because no matter what sport it is, and this is what I try to tell, I've tried to ask, like in the UK, obviously, when we have Conor McGregor, everybody knows when Conor's fighting. When we go to arenas, when the football team is playing, when we go abroad to watch them, there's just something about this country that we're all knitted together. It's like, because it was such a small country, when someone makes it, we all want to be there. And the support from the Irish fans is probably second to none. Josh Thompson and John McCarthy had said they'd never felt an atmosphere like they did in the previous Bellator.
Oh, big time. I'd be like, even the guys that be wrapping their hands and all the staff that work there, they'd be always talking about, you know, they love Ireland. Some even the lads were saying they wanted to move here. They love it, you know, and just the fans are so educated as well. They were saying, like, over in the States, like, you know, if someone gets a takedown, but only thinking back was when someone said it to me, like when I had the choke on the last guy, when I clasped my hands, the crowd made a big roar, like, you know, and they knew even, you know, like that's how much, like, you know, they're tuned into it, if that makes sense. Whereas in America, you know, they're up against the fence and, you know, they're booing, and, you know, I think they just want to see wars, you know. But Ireland, I think, we're more appreciative of it. And just come back to, I suppose it ties into your last question. I mean, to see that, you know, when we're doing well in the rugby or whether it be anything, I mean, we all get behind each other. And I think that's because I think if you're authentic as well, as you said, when you're your own person, and they see, you know, like the likes of a Ricky Hatton, you know, when they seen, you know, Ricky over in England doing well, and then he was after his fight in the pub the weekend, you know what I mean? Like the weekend after, he's just someone, he's just like me or you, and that's who I'd like to, you know, he doesn't have to trash talk, and, you know, I think that's why people get behind it, you know. And then when you see someone from Ireland, oh, that's your man up the road from Crumlin, like Conor or something, you know, like people want to get behind you know what I mean? Like, fair play to them, you know, the boy. So yeah, I think that's probably why, you know, and as well, it was such a small country, you know.
So, like, when you're going into a fight, is there any nerves when you're in the back? What kind of a feeling do you get? Like, do you get the butterflies in your stomach, or are you always 100% confident?
Actually, it's a mad one, because especially the pro fights, and as you do so many amateur fights, and you start further out, you're grand, you know. When the name gets announced and stuff, you get a bit of nerves and that. And then when you're training then you're just so busy with the training and stuff, you know, obviously I think, you know, it's just constantly going through your head, because you're training so much. And then the week of the fight, you start to get the nerves, you know. That's when I start to kind of get the, you know, as we all do, you know. But as soon as I get to the arena, it's not that like the nerves go, but it's like a relief nearly, you know. It's like, it's you know, this is it now, you know. You're like, thank God, here it is, you know what I mean? All this waiting around and the training and the, you know, the everything, you know. You're just like, oh, happy days, you know what I mean? This is the 15 minutes I've been waiting for, you know. It's like the peak of the mountain, you know. It's, and you're excited, you know. It's nice yourself when you get excited or nervous or something. It's kind of the same feeling a little bit, you know. So I just kind of I channel the nerves into excitement, and that's what it is. It's excitement, you know what I mean? You're training for 8 to 12 weeks for a fight, and, you know, or in my case, it was all year round last year with obviously what was going on, and here you are now, 15 minutes to show the improvements, and this is what you do, you know. You get into it, at the end of the day, it's the 15 minutes in there, and, you know, this is it, like, you know, this is my fight night, you know what I mean? This is my game time. This is my night, you know. And then you go in there and you're just reacting. You're just, all your training comes in, you know what I mean? It's the weeks leading up to it. It's the months, the year leading up to it. It's all going to show on the night, you know. And it's excitement. It's excitement, you know.
David?
Yeah. No, I can. Sorry, it's just we're trying to find a system to trying to ask questions, so I don't. That's why there's a bit of a pause. So I let him go. He let me go. We're still trying to find our feet. But at the minute, I was looking up your background. You train in SBG, obviously, yeah. You're in Drogheda though, not the HQ, or are you in the HQ?
I'm in the HQ, and so that's my gym. I train there, but John's my coach. I train in HQ. That's my main gym. And then I'm from Drogheda. And then in the last 2 years, a teammate of mine, a friend of mine, Paul Bourne, actually started training him from the start. 10 plus years training, and came from the same gyms locally. And actually Paul went up to SBG first, and me and my brother followed suit a few months after. And then he, a few years later, opened up his own gym. So in the morning, I train in HQ with John Cavan and the team, the pro team, and the whole lot. That's my main gym. And then I come back home in the evening, and I coach and train in SPG Drogheda then. So between the two gyms. But my main gym is HQ. That's where I do all my training sessions, you know, my main training sessions, and train for fights, and yeah, all my sparring, all my rounds. That's where I do it, you know. SPG and Drata, you know, get me evening sessions in there, you know.
Yeah, so do you train in there? Do you do any coaching in SPG? There's actually one guy, is CJ Sheehan. He's from your gym, isn't he? The young
So yeah, CJ's there. Yeah, he's not allowed young lad there as well. He's only like 10 or something. He's flying. He's brilliant, you know. And he's a pleasure to be around, and he's there as well. And you know, obviously, you know, there's some of the other guys coming up in the gym, and yeah, so I do a bit of coaching there as well. And I trained my brother there. He fought as well at the IMAFs and competed with me for years, and both we started together. And my brother Darrell, and then he stopped. Then he stopped fighting. He still trains, but he stopped fighting, and then started. He's apprentice plumber now, and so I get me rounds in there at night time. We get me, you know, it's a fully equipped gym there, and I do a lot all my cardio there, and we get some jiu-jitsu rounds in, and I do a lot of coaching, and so it's good. It's great. It's great for the town, and do a lot of coaching. Myself and Paul do actually through government funding and a youth program that we coach during the week. It's for kind of like people that's at school going down the wrong road. It's kind of like aimed at them, you know. And you know, the way I was, no direction, and it's kind of aimed at them. And so we help out there, coaching there, and so it's big things happen. Like it's very, very, very good, good for the town, you know.
I would ask him.
Yeah,
I would ask him something, but a chunk of most of the questions that I've wanted to ask you, more or less, answered them. So I'm kind of listening to David to see if there's anything he might say that might arouse my curiosity at all.
So Joe, I can go ahead and ask. Obviously, with the programs and the government, or do you have a question? Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, okay. Obviously, with the government program stuff, obviously you want to take the youth in, and you want to find these, like you said, you couldn't concentrate at school or whatever. So you want to bring these people in and give them structure. How does it feel to give back to community that you grew up in?
Yeah, it's a big thing for me. Again, as I said, I never really put much thought into it. When you're on your own path and you have the blinkers on and you're just trained away. But when you start to, you know, get a bit of success and on a bigger stage like Bellator, you know, and the attention it gets, and you know where I'm from and stuff, you know, you start getting like, you know, you're a great role model for the town, and you know, all these kind of things to be said to me, you know. It's great, you know, and it's something I always only now that I'd like to say. Not in the recent years, I was like, you know, I want to, you know, kind of give back, and I'm a prime example that if you know, you can say no to, you know, the wrong road, and because, you know, trust me, I could have very easily took it, and you know, I said no to it all, and it just kept me head straight, and you know, yeah, I'm kind of like an example, you know, that you can go the right road, or not even like the right road. Like, I mean, you can, you know, say no to it. I mean, not that the road I took was, you know, the right road, or you know, whether to be sticking to anything or not giving up, you know, as you know, we all have many losses, and whether it be not setbacks and everything else, you know, just things like that, like, just positive, you know, to look up to and say, well, if he can do it, I can do it, you know, from just one of the lads up the road. Is, you know what I mean? It's good, like, you know. And as I said, I never really thought about that, but it's only when, you know, the likes of parents coming up to you, and you know, the likes of CJ's dad, or you know, little CJ looks up to you, and things like that, like, you start like, no way, that's mad. I never really thought of myself like that, and then you know, there's obviously a greater good there that people seeing you, you know, which is mad, like, you know. I'm just doing I'm doing something I love, and next thing at the back end of it, like, you have all this, so it's mad, like, you know.
You said you were.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Go.
You said you were expelled from school. I mean, since, you know, fighting and pursuing a career like you have, and now up to an international level with Bellator, have you ever seen or heard from your past, your classmates or those teachers or that school that said they just had to cut their ties and wash their hands off? Have you ever heard from them? They say congratulations and nice to see you doing well. Anything like that at all?
I'm actually very good friends with the kind of the top messers. You know what I mean? We you know, I'm actually we you know, we were a group of lads. We were the top messers. And actually, you know what? It's funny because we were always kind of looked down on and told, you know, I suppose maybe they thought that, you know, we're actually doing quite well. You know, we're all doing well in life, and you know, so it's kind of a it's a funny one, but anyway, no, I never really, because at the time the school was in a bad place. It was a very bad place, you know, the way it was. So no, none of the teachers or anything ever got on to me or anything at the time. A lot of them are gone. I'll put it that way. A lot of them are gone because that's how bad it was, you know. But yeah, I mean, I went to after that I went to Outreach. It's kind of like a place for people that did drop out or was kicked out of school. So I went there, and that's actually where I did really feel like, you know, became a man, say, when I was younger, because they started treating me like an adult. That was a big thing in school. I think they treated us like kids, you know. And whereas I felt, even though we weren't adults, but when I went to Outreach, they started treating me like an adult, you know. I kind of was starting to go back into me all, not when I went into it at the start, it was kind of, you know, going back into, didn't change, like, you know, I was still messing. And then I remember one of my teachers, she said something one day, and I was like, you know, it just changed me. And I was just like, you know what, he's not treating me like a kid anymore. He's treating me like a man, you know, he's treating me like an adult. And it just changed me. I just was like, right, you know, starting to grow up now, you know what I mean? Like, to change our ways and what road you want to go, and just these little things. It's such a massive thing. I still remember, you know. So those teachers would have really had an influence on me. But whereas in the secondary school, yeah, like, I mean, as I said, it was that bad that, you know, some of the teachers and the principals are not even there now, you know what I mean? So that'll give you an idea. But I'm sure they'll wish me well, you know.
Okay, that's because you've not been invited to, like, say, God, any school reunions, because I like sort of things like that, whereby you come back successful, and you know, you do remember, they will remember the times that they probably would have said to you that, or thought about you, that you're not going to be anything, you're going to be nothing. But so many years down the line, you come back doing a lot better than many of those other people.
I mean, I'm not that old yet, you know, so not for the school reunion thing, you know. I know they do that 20 years later, but I'd say, yeah, but I mean, I've done like a I suppose, a talk. It was like a message back to my primary school. It was like, you know, it was a message they would give to 6th class students that was going to secondary school, and they got me to do a message and best of luck type of thing to the and a bit of advice going to the secondary school and stuff. So I've done that before, like, you know, but I've never like actually come back and talk to the, like, you know, in a big hall or anything like that. You know, nothing like that. But yeah, I mean, as I said, I'd like to get into something like that, you know, like to be able to say, look, I sat in them chairs and blah, blah, and not that I'm this big, you know, superstar or nothing, but I mean, as I said, I mean, just an example to say I was able to stay in the right track to yeah, something positive, you know.
Yeah, well, that's good. David?
No, I actually understand what you're saying with going back and talk to a group, because I would have been the same as yourself in school, let's say, and I went through a period in my life where I wasn't what I am now, and I done some things maybe I've regret, and I've thought to myself, I'd love to go back and talk to them about the dangers of going down this road or that road or whatever. So I completely understand. And you're saying about being from Drogheda and everyone looks up to you. Do you feel a pressure then when people look up to you if you ever do the wrong thing that might change people's opinion of you?
It's something that it's only the past, like, maybe since, you know, having a bit of success. I noticed like people's perception of me has changed, you know, or people have a perception of me, whereas I haven't changed, if that makes sense. So
yeah,
I'll have this perception of the way I should act or way I should, you know, look or whatever, you know what I mean, whatever it may be. And I haven't changed. I'm still I'm still who I am, you know. And it's not as if I'm, you know, this famous, you know, movie star. I don't mean it like that, but like, it's like, you know, people, when they start to get to know you or they think they know you, they have this perception of it. And that's what I've started to learn, you know. They have this, you know, thought of what you should be or what you are, and it's actually not that at all. Or if that does that make sense? Not that I'm like in a bad way, but you know, they might. It's hard to explain, you know. They put it on you what they think you should be, if that kind of comes across in a way, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's been something, a bit of an adjustment, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, no, you can always only be you. And like you said, as you've gone through this part of your career or whatever, you've always been you, but people just change their perception of you because of what you've become. But you've always been yourself. And for me, I think, I don't understand, but sometimes you need to, like, for me, what people think is what they think. You can't change what they think. You always need to be you, and you've always done that and stuck to yourself. So at the end of the day, whether they like it and they want this, they think you're this or that, at the end of the day, you're just being you, and that's all you can do, and that's the best version of you can be.
Yeah, that's true. And that's what I learned as well. Like, you know, again, look, I'm still telling myself this, and I'm still learning, you know, and I'm still I'd love to actually take me on the voice, but yeah, like, I mean, a lot of the time, you know, what people think or what they say or whatever, or what they think, yeah, or the way I find it is, even about the fight night, even the result of the night. I mean, Monday morning comes, everybody's gone to their job. What I found is most people are too wrapped up in their own lives if to think that they care, or, you know, Monday morning comes, it's me that has the loss or that has the win, or, you know, I mean, or as I said, people are too busy with their own lives. So I think when you start thinking like what they think and all that, and again, I'd love to take beyond the voice. I'm learning, but I mean, yeah, like, people are too busy with their own lives to be. So I try not to worry too much about that, you know. But it's funny, it's a bit of an adjustment, as I said, to people, you know.
No, but you do it very well, obviously. Someone put it to me like this before: if you do something bad, or if your friend does something bad, or if you do something bad yourself, you turn around and you'll go, "Why'd you do that? You're an idiot. You're this or that." And then the way you look at it is, if you look at yourself like that and you talk to just say your friend does something bad, would you talk to your friend like that? No. So you need to kind of be kind to yourself and go, if I talk the way I do to my friends, the way I do to myself. So I think you do need to take your own advice. For me, you've been a really good example. I've never seen anything bad about you, and whether you do anything bad or not, that doesn't change my view of you as a person, because people make mistakes or whatever. But you've been a prime role model for this country and for the sport. So for that, I'd like to thank you for, especially for the youngsters coming up, they can look up to you as a role model.
I appreciate that, man. And yeah, as I said, like, it's not as if you know, it's hard to explain. That's kind of like, it kind of comes underneath an umbrella, I suppose, of things, you know. But like, I know, yeah, like, people think they know you, or they think they see in the surface what you are, or, you know, but it's, you know, it's actually not. It's hard to explain, but I appreciate that. And yeah, like, I mean, as you said, like, you know, if we all can take our own voice, in the sense that if we all talk to ourselves, if you wouldn't let anyone talk to you the way you talk to yourself, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So it's little things like that. Like, but as I said, you learn going forward. Like, you know, that, I mean, even to have the knowledge of that, just going back to the first question, really, like, I'd have never known about like the way to be talking yourself, or and that's another thing through martial arts. The people you look up to, the people you start looking into, and all these great characters like, you know, John Danaher's, or, you know, even me coach John Kavanagh, all these people that they're life coaches, you know what I mean? They can give you these advice that's priceless, you know what I mean? All these little things, and, you know, even like looking into philosophy, or even getting closer to your faith, your religion and stuff, you know, because all these things, it's massive, you know, and that was the big thing for me, you know. So yeah, I suppose that comes into it as well. Like, back to the first question you were saying, you know, what it does for people and what it can do for anyone, you know.
You have a question, Ike?
No, I think he's answered everything. Well, I can't not really anything else that's praying in my mind that I want to get clarified, as in I'd like him to answer. No.
Well, I can ask some questions because I'm quite curious. I could talk to you for hours. I love MMA. I love the amateur scene, the Irish scene. Like, what do you think of the Irish scene as it stands right now? Because for me, I started my page originally to do kind of UFC edits and Bellator edits, you know, of fighters. And then I thought, you know what? There's tens of thousands of people doing that. I'm going to look into my own country. I've only started kind of doing this about 3 months or something. And then I looked into the scene here. And some of the amateur level, the likes of Taylor and Oisin Fox last week at IUR, I don't know if you've seen the fight or not, but it was, you look at it and I say, that's one of the best fights I've seen, pro or amateur. It was like, what do you make of the amateur scene here now?
Yeah, the scene is it's huge, to be honest, because and I think it's because the IMAFs, they're after upping the level, and you're fighting. You have to be not just the best in Ireland now, to be the best in the world, and it's after really upping the level and seeing the way different countries train, and or even knowing how different people, judges from different countries score and things like that. It's really acted up in the game, and even the safety measures and everything else. But I don't think get into all that. But I mean, yeah, the amateur scene here is unbelievable, and it's down to the coaching and the training, you know. I mean, we always have had that talent, whether it be from boxing or other combat sports. But I think MMA now, it's obviously because of Conor, it's after blowing up, and yeah, I mean, all the likes of like John, Andy Ryan, all the long time coaches in the country, and it's the success of obviously the likes of Paddy Holohan and the UFC and all the rest of the guys there. I mean, it's just after blowing up in the last few years, and I think as I said, the IMAF tournaments, the results there has shown, and yeah, it's only way is up. And I think the likes of Cage Legacy run it down here. The likes of the guy, I'm actually up tomorrow, and I'm forgetting the show tomorrow up north. Yeah, I'm up there tomorrow now coaching, and one of the lads in Drogheda here fighting Luke O'Sullivan, and so yeah, I mean, it's just the only way is up, really, you know. And the more shows, the more people get behind it. It's only better, you know, because we need the shows to showcase the lads, you know. Because if they're not there, it's very, very hard, you know. It's even hard to pick a squad to go away if, you know, not much is happening. So yeah, I think it's a big community, and everybody needs to stick together. And it's obviously shown over the last few years, you know, because it's been tough. Like, it's been tough because COVID, safe MMA, all these things have come in, so it's been hard, but it's coming at the back end of it now.
Yeah, you actually spoke earlier about the likes of Cage Legacy, you've got Cage Conflict, you've got Clan Wars, and you have IUR, which is Decky McLennan's from Cage Warriors. He only started a new promotion there, and he had his second event. When I was speaking to Declan, kind of after, I think he said he made no money on it. He made no money. They're not doing this for the love of the money. That's why we all need to, for me, like I said, we need to chip in together, and we need to, the stars are coming from these places. You came from there. Queely came from there. Cavallo, Dylan Logan. Like, for me, we need to keep these alive. We need to, I'd rather pay the money for a Cage Legacy or a Cage Conflict or a Clan Wars pay-per-view and give them the money rather than the UFC are going to have their money. I want to see these stars grow, and the only way we can do that is from here. And I want to touch on, you talked about two coaches. You talked about John Kavanagh and Andy Ryan. Obviously, for years, they were only the really two big ones. How do you feel now, MMA around Ireland? Because there's gyms everywhere now, and how do you view that? I view that as a very good thing, and I think the more gyms that come up, the better.
Oh, big time. Yeah, it was obviously John was the first, and Andy Ryan, obviously Dave Roach, my other coach, and then HQ as well. They were the, the guys at the time that were, trained in sheds and, doing, and not knowing what they were creating. And look where it is today. And all these smaller gyms popping up, and it's as you know, every gym starts small, and it's not about that. It's just about the overall competition. I mean, different gyms popping up everywhere. Look what Ciaran Davern's doing down there in the Midlands. The serious lads down there. All the guys over the West down in Cork, William McGriffin and the Maguires down there, the Maguire brothers, and I mean it's up north what the lads are doing this years, and it's it's unbelievable. It's but I mean, from humble beginnings to where it is now, and as I said, it's just we need to keep the shows running and pay the extra few quid. Pay the few whatever fee it is. It's a tenner to watch these fights, all these lads coming up. And Declan would be right to go back to your last question. He wouldn't be throwing over any money in this. He's doing it to put his own lads on, or he's doing it to keep the show running down here in the south. So we've a lot to thank for all these lads.
Yeah, especially with Declan, because you've got Cage Conflict, which you're going up to tomorrow. You've got Clan Wars, and you've got IUR, which is Deckies. You've got Clan Wars, and then Cage Conflict, I think, is Fight Card in the islands. But down south, we only have Cage Legacy, and Declan actually said to me himself, "I want people to come in and help."
Yeah,
or to create their own promotions, because we need it down here. And I think if we could get more promotions, that'd be good. Because we, as a country, we do need it. And I'd rather, like I said, I'd rather support them than support the US. The UFC are going to get money from every country in the world. We need to support our own, and we need to help grow it. So
big time, yeah. And the likes of all those lads wouldn't see each other as competition or nothing like that. As you said, it's just to get their own lads on, to be honest. And it's just to grow their own gyms and get their own lads to run out. So I mean, it'd be great. But there's so much hurdles these days with COVID and restrictions, and safe MMA, the regulations here, and so it's hard. But as I said, hats off to the lads. Because only for them, it's keeping it going.
Would you go to many of the promotions, the regional ones yourself? Like, you're going to cases, so obviously you go there coaching your own fighters then, yeah?
Yeah, well, I just go up to help Paul Bourne. He's obviously the head coach there. It's his gym, but I would help a good bit with coaching and stuff. So I just to go for the helping hand in the corner and stuff, and obviously you build a relationship up with these the lads that you're training with and stuff. And it's it's big and it's small. We all know each other, so it's kind of you want to be there for them as well. And so yeah, I just be at the shows coaching and helping out. But when the show was on in Drogheda, which that's where Cage actually started, it would have been in Drogheda and here, and it would have been just going to watch my teammates, whether it be that or just to support the show and things like that. But obviously there wasn't much going on last year. But I mean, if it's in your local area, you'd be sure to know someone that's fighting, or you're gonna go any to support, And again, it's a good night out. It's who wouldn't want a few fights on a Saturday night or whatever,
Exactly. Ike, do you have any more questions? Because I didn't realize you were going tomorrow, so I kind of want to. Not that I want to let you go. So I want to let you go get some sleep because you're coaching tomorrow. Have you any more questions, Ike?
No, I was thinking the same thing, that we've kept this guy awake for a while now, and I'm surprised he stayed awake as long as he has. Because as a professional fighter, of course, I know your sleep is important to you, sleeping your rest. So I was really wary.
Worries, lads, thanks. It's not too bad on the Friday. Normally, I'd train late on the Saturday, get a bit of a line on the Saturday there, so I'm not too bad. But coaching tomorrow, so get the bit of snooze there now.
Yeah, look, sorry for keeping you. I didn't. If you'd have said that earlier, we would have wrapped this up much earlier.
No,
Yeah.
not at all, lads. No pressure, man. No sweat.
I want to thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah.
I could probably do the same. It's been an absolute pleasure. Can I ask you a question? That bit where you were talking about Cage Legacy earlier, can I clip that and help that promote the next Cage Legacy?
Of course. Actually, Declan asked me to do a bit of a little bit of a
Promo.
Clip. Yeah, kind of like that, But I unless you do something like this, I wouldn't be able to do it on my own. It'd be real awkward doing it myself.
You feel like you feel like you're acting it. So is it okay if I get Ike to clip this and send it to me and send it to you, and you can send it to Declan?
That's perfect because he'd be happy with that. He'd be delighted, because I did want to do it from, but I'd be too awkward talking to it. Does that make sense? So he'd be delighted with that. And
I told him, I actually told him when we were on the break, I said, look, we've an Irish pro talking and he's talking good about Cage Legacy. I'll send it to you. So I just tell him tomorrow, look, Ciaran done the promo on our podcast.
Deadly. That's happy days.
Perfect. Right. Thank you very much, Ike.
Thank you, Ciaran. Thank you. No, thank you. And we definitely need to get you back on the show for a second time, probably at a time that's earlier, not so early in the morning or late in the night, probably in the early evening. So that way there's a better chance of no one being knackered or sleepy-eyed.
No worries, lads. Ike, David, thanks a million. And
it's been an absolute pleasure.
Appreciate it, lads.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Have a good night and good luck with your fighters tomorrow.
Cheers, boys.
Thanks.
Thanks.